This video is going to contain spoilers for New World Story, but I'm sure no one actually cares, which is why I'm making this video. Can you guys imagine if someone actually got mad at you for spoiling New World Story? This game has one of the most forgettable stories in MMO history, and in this video I'll be telling you what the story is. I'm gonna roast it a little bit, I'll tell you how I would fix it, and at the end of the video I would show you what the entire story of New World would look like if I was a writer on their development team. Speaking of, I literally did apply to be a writer for this position, but I am a straight white male, so I don't think that they were interested in anything I had to say when it comes to any type of job application. The second they asked for like race and ethnicity, they're like, nah, bro, like, get them the fuck out of here. So right off the bat, there's a really easy flaw in New World that every real gamer sees. There's no hot characters in this game. There is not one character to goon after. Why are so many companies against making people attractive these days? It makes no sense. The closest thing we have to a hot character is the most annoying little Grace O'Malley, and even then she doesn't have clothes that complement her figure. Guess the demographic of your game. It's like 99% male. Men like hot women, believe it or not. So the first change I would make is 1, make fuckable characters in this game. Change number 2 would be make believable characters. Holy shit, after playing Expedition 33, it's actually a sin to go back to New World and see characters they chose to make. This is their second draft too. They overhauled the entire story and came up with this in the final cut. Every character is just a stereotypical trope of whatever archetype they're looking for. Let's look at Grace O'Malley. She's this like Irish female buccaneer who's obsessed with getting loot and get that fucking plunder and yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, and she's just constantly saying like random shit that makes no sense. It's just stereotypical retarded pirate shit. Like there's no character depth at all, and she's just constantly trying to make witty jokes, and her main motivation is just to like get her money up and not her funny up. She's just such an unbelievable character. And then let's look at Avita Macia. Just a fill-in female character that refers to her husband as like some legionnaire type person from the Roman Empire. She doesn't even call him like an abbreviated name or an endearing name or a pet name or anything like that. It's just like when someone asks you about your wife and you say, oh, my wife you're asking about? My wife, Mia Malkova, is attending her place of work for the next 8 hours. She shall be back soon. Like this shit just sounds like some AI slop writing. And when you tell her husband's been corrupted, she's like, ha ha ha, no. My husband can't be corrupted. He's fine. He'll be back any minute. I'm sure he's great. Like, bro, this dude's been missing apparently for like weeks, and she's just like not worried in the slightest. I don't know, man. These characters are so fucking unbelievable. It's hard to be immersed in the story for 5 seconds. Last example of these characters that we're gonna look at briefly is fucking Jonas the Soul Warden is also such a non-believable character. It's another trope of this old man who's seen shit and done things, and he doesn't even remember anything until you do these quests for him, and then he has this like crazy eureka moment where he gets his memories back and talks to you about what happened. Also an example of, you know, telling us instead of showing us. You know, we'll talk more about that in a little bit, but yeah, all these characters are just lazily written AI slop characters that just say and do the most robotic cookie cutter actions and phrases. Oh my god, it's actually insane going from Expedition 33 to New World and seeing the difference between characters and dialogue. Claire Obscure has no words wasted in any cutscenes and lets their lack of words speak for themselves. And in New World, every character must order a deluxe grande yappuccino anytime they speak. They're just constantly talking about random shit and telling you their emotions. They're like, oh, he has perished? That makes me sad. Yet that also fills me with grief. Like, bro, like I promise you, I could ask Chatbot GPT to make me a better script than that. I think what they're doing is they're trying so hard to tiptoe around accidentally not offending the wrong group of people and making this game inclusive and for everybody, because there's no way anyone with actual merit would look at the script otherwise and fucking sign off on it. So the second change that I would make is just say, make believable characters that actually impact the story as characters and not just, you know, oh, they did this and then they should do that. You know, so let's transition to the worst part about this game, which is in fact every single quest in this game is basically just explaining the world to you. We have absolutely no connection to any characters or, you know, the world for that matter. It just feels like we're thrown into this island of Eternum and we're some type of hired gun that doesn't even belong in our own universe. If you want to make the corrupted scary, if you want to feel grounded to the story that's coming with the corrupted, you should do what Gears E-Day did and have that scene where the Locust drone is fighting Marcus Phoenix and he's straight up just beating his ass. Atriox, and it's showing you how terrifying these things really are and how formidable they are. You know, the second you see the corrupted in this game, they're just cannon fodder minions that you don't respect or fear. You know who else did a really good job of this is the Halo Wars 2 cinematic, where the 3 Spartans were fighting that brute, and one of the Spartans got absolutely fucking annihilated by Atriox, and he was just getting carried out in a body bag basically by the other Spartans. It shows you how scary this fucking threat you're fighting is, and makes you feel more connected to the story, and you know, makes you actually want to stop what is going on. Now let's talk about Isabella, the overarching villain in the game. So the first time I played through the New World story before the overhaul, they kept talking about this girl Isabella, and we got to get to the bottom of why she's corrupted and uncorrupt her or something like that. And that was at the very end of the story. And the whole time I was playing the game with my homeboys, and when they were talking about Isabella after we killed her in that last dungeon at the time, we were like, who the fuck is Isabella? Like, we just beat the game and we literally didn't even know who the fuck this girl was. And then after the story overhaul, she's just constantly talking in your ear about joining the corrupted, like some female version of Emperor Palpatine and Gravemind from Halo 3. Like, scrap the whole fucking plot line with this one. I don't give a fuck about who this character is. I don't care how she became corrupted, why she became corrupted, who she was before the corruption, what her plans are now that she's the queen of corruption. It just doesn't matter. Also, I messed up on the footage for this, but there's this quest where the corrupted were holding some people hostage, and they were on their knees on like the captured position, like the fetal capture position, alone in some house. And I'm like, bro, these dudes are just going fucking like, why would they capture you, right? They can't even think. I'm talking about the corrupted here. It's like the corrupt in this game literally don't even say words. They're so just imagine getting captured by them, and you're like, who are you and what do you want? And they're like, it just doesn't fucking make any sense, bro. Like, what kind of quest line is this? I wish I had the fucking B-roll for it, guys. I'm so sorry I don't have it. Want to see more videos and see my little puppy Baxter? Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And by the way, guys, sorry the performance is a little choppy. I don't know if it was me or the game, but when I was recording B-roll for this, it kept running into a ton of lag, and my computer was built during COVID time, so I'm not sure if that is what it was or not. But Asmund, if you guys are seeing this, I also think Hassan is a retard. So Starforge, if you guys want to hit me up for a partnership for all 25 of my subscribers, I'd really appreciate that. Back to the story. There's 3 factions in New World. There's Marauders, Covenant, Syndicate. Basically, you just choose what guild you're in, but they don't actually matter to the story. They only really affect multiplayer, which we can leave the multiplayer side intact for this, but let's examine what these 3 factions actually are. Basically, how they're explained to you is Marauders, they like to fight shit. Covenant, they're some type of religious zealots. And Syndicate like science and wearing purple fucking cloaks. So when you're inside this world, you want to feel connected to the characters. So they give you these 3 different ideologies you can relate to on a personal level, but it doesn't actually give you any type of real connection, because it's basically saying, hey, you like science? Are you a nerd in real life? Like, join Syndicate. And you're like, okay, I'll join. Is that it? Well, yeah, pretty much. Well, all right then. How I would fix the factions would be to make them actually, first off, matter, and also give your audience someone or something to fight for or relate to in the story. Make each faction hate each other. Right now, they just, they're at each other's fucking throats like foolish little brothers. They're like, oh, that faction? Yeah, they're misguided. Like, it's just such a soy boy way of writing. Like, no, bro, make them fucking hate each other. Make them want to kill each other like Bloods and Crips and Horde versus the fucking Alliance. Give the factions different backstories of political unease. Give them history of war and betrayal, and have dialogue that affects the relationship you have with different characters based on what faction you're in. So, what the fuck is going on with the Angry Earth? They're just these non-peaceful vegan type of forest people, and all they talk about is how much humans have taken from them and how we're a virus to Eternum, and they never really actually explain how or what we did. They're just kind of these like pretentious stuck-up Karens that complain about everything all the time and then have some secret plan to fix things. You know, another example of telling us rather than showing us. The classic thing I've been pointing out, you know, in this entire video. How I would fix the Angry Earth is to have them be very similar to the Native Americans in America, where they were here long before the settlers of Eternum, but long after the ancient ones. They welcomed the settlers at first and then began to see how fucked up humanity is, and with all the lying and cheating, stealing, raping, you know, murdering, all that shit, break away from the settlers. You know, they cut off all ties with them because they see them as a virus. Let the Angry Earth wage war against the settlers and attack them anytime they step into their territory. I envision a cool storyline would be having a multi-layered dynamic story between the factions, the Angry Earth and the Corrupted, and have moments where the Angry Earth needs to team up with the humans to defeat the Corrupted. I imagine them putting aside their differences and long history of hatred to fight a greater force. Speaking of the Corrupted, scrap that entire fucking idea. Right now, all they are is like these like mindless anger zombies, you know, type of thing that you just kill as cannon fodder. They have literally no logic or emotion behind what they do. I can understand if, you know, they did what Expedition 33 did and show them as normal humans and then they turn corrupted before our eyes. It'd be more impactful that way. But of course, the writers in this game didn't think so. So now we have these little fucking zombie things running around and going, oh, when we walk by. I personally would rather either reintroduce the Corrupted to make them this Sith-like entity where they aren't zombies, but they tap into a dark energy doing evil shit, makes them more and more powerful. Basically, they gain power based on human suffering or human emotion or negative human emotion or something like that. Or, like I said before, keep them as corrupted zombies, but make encounters with them way less frequent and make every time you encounter them a big deal, because there's a storyline behind who that particular corrupted person is. Maybe a boss fight, of course, you can have the fodder corrupted people that you can just kill as ads, but realistically, what you can do is you can make these corrupted people in the story, and when they are transitioning from humans to corrupted people, you know, and turning into basically zombies, it's a big emotional tug in your heart because you actually connect to these characters, and now you see them as these like fucked up zombies that you have to basically kill, right? You have to kill people that you know, that you love, which makes it a lot more impactful, of course. Finally, we're gonna move on towards Eternum as the last piece of the puzzle to the story. I don't understand Eternum. They want us to believe it's an island where people from all over the world come to settle, but this island has people that never die and never age, and I honestly love the idea, but the execution was awful. The only thing they got right was that they have territories with different worldly aesthetics. So Ebonscale Reach is this feudal Japan type of vibe, and Monarch's Bluff is this Renaissance medieval kind of aesthetic, and I like that diversity, but in a world where no one ever ages or dies, the much more interesting storyline is what happens to humanity when the core principle of humanity is gone. Dying is a part of life, but when you take that away and people live for so long, you know, I feel like for hundreds and hundreds of years, they'd go fucking insane. I believe the story of New World should look like this. Have the focus of New World be the setting. Very similar to how Halo Reach's story was the setting. Within that setting, there would be 3 different factions that work as a barrier, similar to how regions create a divide between people and places. Have these factions and characters and backstory drive all the inner conflicts between the settlers. Have a major part of the story to be to unite all 3 factions, defeat the Angry Earth. After defeating the Angry Earth, come to an understanding with them that there's an even greater evil, the Corrupted, and have the main story be all 3 factions, the Angry Earth versus the Corrupted, in whatever shape they choose to take form, either the mindless zombies or the Sith Lords. Make sure to include as much inner workings into the relationships with each other's factions and races as possible. Characters make a story good. Make another reference to Expedition 33. The plot was fantastic, but it was really driven home by the characters in the game being so good and relatable. So you have this really cool dynamic where you have the people in this game basically hating each other in some Game of Thrones type of shit where, you know, they're all at each other's throats and there's politics and this and that, and the whole time you have people living forever, so they're just going fucking insane, and there's all these very unique inner workings for immortality and how that affects people playing the long game, and how people are, you know, trying to play the short game and this and that. And then you have this extra dynamic with the angry earth and the corrupted and eventually hopefully the ancient ones, and you know, all this politics and drama. And I think it would be really interesting to see how these characters develop and evolve after living for hundreds of years, especially with, you know, living with people from all different types of timelines and cultures. So overall, the main story would look something like this. All three factions hate each other. You find out all the details, solve their conflicts, wage war against the angry earth. After waging war against them, you have a bigger threat that gets introduced, like the corrupted, that you have to wage war against them with the angry earth as well, kind of like the fucking White Walkers in Game of Thrones. Obviously throw in some good interpersonal storylines in the process with immortality and culture divide, and that's how I would fix the story right there. If you are a game developer looking for a writer, be sure to email me for some damn consulting, man, because I feel like, you know, me, who isn't even really a writer, who's an amateur writer trying to be a writer. Wow, I just said that like 1,000 times. I just made a better story in 2 days than New World did in 10 years. I feel like, after all the development and, you know, obviously 5 years after it's gotten released. So yeah, guys, if you could like the video too to push it up in the algorithm, that would be fantastic. Much love to you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your day.